Paul arrested in Jerusalem. When Paul arrived back in Jerusalem, he was warned by James there were false rumors spreading that he had been teaching Jews who live among the Gentiles to turn their backs on the laws of Moses, and ignore other Jewish customs. To disprove these rumors, Paul had gone to the temple with 4 men who were following the Jewish custom of purification. A week later, some Jews saw Paul with Trophimus, a Gentile from Ephesus, and they mistakenly assumed Paul had taken him into a part of the temple that Gentiles were forbidden to enter, and a mob quickly gathered. They grabbed Paul yelling, "Men of Israel, help us! This is the man who preaches against our people and tells everybody to disobey the Jewish laws. He speaks against the temple and even defiles this holy place by bringing in Gentiles." Paul was dragged out of the temple, and immediately the gates were closed behind him. As they were trying to kill him, word reached the commander of the Roman regiment that Jerusalem was in an uproar. He immediately called out his soldiers, and officers went to disperse the crowd. When the mob saw the commander and the troops coming, they stopped beating Paul. The commander arrested him, bound him in chains, and ordered that he be taken to the fortress. The crowd followed behind, shouting, "Kill him, kill him." As Paul was about to be taken inside, the commander asked, "Aren't you the Egyptian who led a rebellion some time ago and took 4,000 rebels out into the desert?" "No," Paul replied. "I am a Jew and a citizen of Tarsus in Cilicia. Please, let me talk to the people." The commander agreed and the crowd went silent. Paul then explained how he had been brought up and educated in Jerusalem under Gamaliel and had persecuted those who were Christians. He told them how Jesus had appeared to him on the way to Damascus and how he had called on the name of the Lord to forgive his sins and had been baptized. But when Paul went on to say that God had sent him to bring the good news of Jesus to the Gentiles, there was another uproar. The crowd yelled, threw off their coats, and tossed handfuls of dust into the air. The commander then brought Paul inside and ordered him to be lashed with whips to make him confess his crime. Paul asked one of the officers, "Is it legal for you to whip a Roman citizen who hasn't been tried?" Roman citizens could not be punished without a trial. When the officer heard this, he went to the commander and said, "This man is a Roman citizen." The commander asked Paul, "Are you a citizen of Rome?" "Yes, I am," Paul replied. "I am also a citizen," the commander replied. "I had to pay a lot of money to get it. I am a citizen by birth." Paul said. Then the commander ordered that he be immediately untied. The next day the commander ordered the leading priests into session with the Jewish High Council. He wanted to find out what the trouble was about, and had Paul brought before them. Paul began, "Brothers, I have always lived before God with a clear conscience." Instantly Ananias the high priest commanded that Paul be slapped on the mouth. "What kind of judge are you to break the law by ordering me to be struck?" Paul asked. Paul knew that some members of the High Council were Sadducees and some were Pharisees, so he shouted, "Brothers, I am a Pharisee, on trial because my belief in the resurrection of the dead." The council began arguing among themselves, as the Sadducees did not believe in resurrection, angels, or spirits, but the Pharisees believed in all of these. In the uproar that followed, the commander was afraid for Paul's safety and ordered his soldiers rescue him, and take him back to the fortress. That night the Lord appeared to Paul and said, "Be encouraged. Just as you have been a witness to me here in Jerusalem, you must preach the good news in Rome as well." The next morning a group of Jews got together and made an oath not to eat or drink until Paul was killed. They went to the leading priests and elders and told them, "We have made an oath to eat nothing until Paul is dead. So you and the High Council should ask the commander to bring Paul back to the council again so we can kill him on the way." But Paul's nephew, his sister's son, heard of their plan, and went to the fortress to inform Paul. Paul asked one of the Roman officers, "Take this young man to the commander. He has something important to tell him." After hearing about the plot, the commander called 2 of his officers and ordered, "Get 200 soldiers ready to leave for Caesarea at 9 o'clock tonight. Also take 200 spearmen and 70 mounted troops. Provide a horse for Paul to ride, and get him safely to Governor Felix." He gave them the following letter for the governor. "This man was seized by some Jews who were about to kill him when I arrived with troops. When I learned that he was a Roman citizen, I moved him to safety. Their accusations against him are about their religious law, but nothing worthy of imprisonment or death. I was informed of a plot to kill him, so I immediately sent him to you. I have told his accusers to bring their charges before you." That night, the soldiers escorted Paul as far as Antipatris. They returned to the fortress the next morning, while the mounted troops took Paul on to Caesarea. "I will hear your case myself when your accusers arrive," Governor Felix told Paul. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Share and leave a comment. Subscribe.